questioning, what do these numbers mean and why do they even matter? So tariffs on China are at 145. I saw there's a correction. It's actually 125. Who knows? Retaliatory tariffs from China are at 83, 90. Does it matter? Not really. A 90-day pause. Well, why 90? Why not 180? Why not 365, right? These are all arbitrary numbers. CPI at 2.4, arbitrary number, not the other arbitrary number of 2.5, right? So I think in times like this, you have to really think about why Bitcoin matters. And I'm a Bitcoin maxi, and I think Bitcoin is the future. And it is going back to this rules-based system where you have absolute certainty. You're absolutely certain of the upper limit of Bitcoin. There's 21 million. That's it. And that should be enough to, rebase the entire world's economy on. So that's 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. And it's just a mathematical formula, and it does not change over time. And that's it. So the way I look at it is this is a ruler. And it's a ruler by which you measure every other thing, just like you measure water in liters and milliliters, and you measure distance in kilometers or miles if you're American, and said, we're mining Bitcoin with excess energy, and they've published some of their balances. So it's almost like the incentive is for countries to quietly accumulate until they can't. But then you also have cases like the US where they're making a big proclamation that we are going to go into Bitcoin in a big way. And I think that's actually more likely because it's difficult for countries to hide things from the public, or at least ideally it shouldn't be the case, because the governments need to be accountable to the people. And if they're doing things in secret, that's not really the ideal situation. So I think going forward, you'll see more proclamations like we are implementing a strategic reserve. We're going to be buying Bitcoin. We're going to be mining Bitcoin. And that's sort of where we come in as Gen 3. It's our mission to work with governments to implement Bitcoin strategies for the sake of world prosperity. And I think there are many pitfalls that governments can go into when they're trying to figure out what they want to do with Bitcoin, right? But there are people out there trying to conflate Bitcoin and crypto. And I know some of your audience is crypto, but I think you have to segment the market. There's Bitcoin, there's crypto, and then stable coins. So there are distinct pockets of different types of things that you can invest in. And you need towards Bitcoin. And it has a lot to do with the US. So you're asking earlier, how is the understanding? I think there is a decent understanding. At least there is an understanding that Bitcoin is valuable and Bitcoin is the best performing asset probably ever. But the concern really is career risk, or political career risk in this case, whereby it's risky for them to push for something until someone else does it in a big way to eliminate the career risk. And you see this with the ETFs. So Hong Kong and Australia followed suit after the US and SEC kind of blessed it and BlackRock went out. And I think more and more countries are opening up. I think Korea, Japan now are opening the doors to ETF access, Bitcoin ETF access. But it's the same for like spot or mining adoption of Bitcoin. There is a perceived risk, which is diminishing by the day as the US moves further and further into implementation stages. But I think it's really just the rest of the world is waiting to see. And it's quite kind of sad that countries should be willing to, or another country is going to step in and start buying. But the tariff situation and also the weakness in demand for US treasuries, I think, will start to funnel money from other countries into Bitcoin. Because if you think about everything on a very high level, where are you going to park your capital? Are you going to put it in real estate? And it certainly doesn't help that Besant is saying things like, Chinese stocks can be removed from the stock exchanges. There is rumblings of eminent domain, like seizing assets. All of these things will spook other sovereign nations to do anything with US assets, right? Whether it's a US based ETF, or if it's just equities, or if it's treasuries or real estate. And when you ask yourself that question, what is the answer? Where do you go? It is just Bitcoin. There's really nothing else that is fully decentralized, permissionless, and without any interested party controlling it. So I see that that level of scarcity means there are no undos. There's no take backsies. Once the Bitcoin is gone, it is gone. Once it's off market into the hands of a seller with no intent to sell, that's it. There is no more. You can't make more. You can make an altcoin, but you can't make more Bitcoin, right? So I think you're going to see Sailor and MicroStrategy, or Strategy now, keep buying, taking coins off the market. They've already took double the amount of mined coins off this year. We're already seeing the public mining companies stop selling and just borrow and get more Bitcoin. You're seeing GameStop making their foray into this. And as we talked about before, states, nation states, they are all starting to get ready to buy. And most of the Bitcoin supply has been mined already. So there's like maybe 1 million coins left to be mined for the next 100 odd years. So that we're not there, and we're sub 100 now even. So I think it's just fear. Fear can push it down. There's 2 million coins on exchanges that are sloshing around that allow for price to be suppressed. And the hodlers, the long-term holders of Bitcoin, don't really have an impact. All they do is they coil the spring more tightly because they're not selling and they're accumulating more. So the price is a very short-term thing that can suddenly dissociate. You can suddenly see a big jump, and we've certainly seen this in Bitcoin's history, right? In 2017, we went up 17x, right? It's definitely possible that this happens again, and you just see a massive jump, especially with the state of the world as it is today. All those things we talked about, economic uncertainty, trade wars, currency wars, sovereign debt, also price indiscriminate. And then what about nation states? I think they're definitely price indiscriminate. Once it becomes a race to print your money to buy Bitcoin, then all the gloves are off. It's just, let's escape the fiat system while we can.
I want to come back to your comment on sovereign nations using their energy to mine Bitcoin. So this is like, is Bhutan? I mean, El Salvador is doing this. Bhutan is doing this, correct? So this is where they're using like excess energy that's like available. It's not being used for anything else, and then they use that energy to mine Bitcoin for the nation. Like that is. And is that when you talk to nation states, is that the way that they're interested in getting involved versus buying?
That should be the way they're interested. But like I said before, there is a lot of concern over career risk. Like, are you going to be the MP or congressman in your country that's going to stand up and say, here's a bill to start mining Bitcoin and risk something, right? I don't think that's the case yet, but that's Satoshi.
And do we need to know who Satoshi is?
No, because if we did know Satoshi, then I think Satoshi would be in a world of trouble, because you can't create this new monetary paradigm and not have people try to influence you to influence that protocol.
Yeah, and is there the only reason why I think people are so obsessed with Satoshi is, quite honestly, the money side of it. He's just got so much Bitcoin, which is worth so much. If he didn't hold all of that, whoever it is, we don't know, hold all of that, then people might actually, quite frankly, not be so obsessed with it. Is there concern around the amount of Bitcoin that Satoshi has? Like, does that cause concern for you if they were to come back, and if they
like, subscribe, and turn on notifications? Support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and enabling post notifications for more content on crypto and digital assets. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps with the YouTube algorithm and keeps the content coming. Thanks for your support. Enjoy the video.